Outlaw Sports is brought to you by Molson Canadian, made from Canada, and Rocky Mountain Barbecue, Alberta barbecue cuisine at its best. Hi everybody, welcome to the show. Ian Busby joins us today. Ian, let's talk about the CFL matchups. We know where everybody's going. The Stamps will be traveling to Edmonton. They take on the Eskimos. They do so by beating a Winnipeg Blue Bomber team. Basically, it looked like it was going to be an easy walk in the park, and then the Stamps started turning it over and made it a lot closer than it should have been.
It was a nice building of a 24-0 lead. They capitalized on a couple of turnovers in the Bombers zone and really made them pay for it. And then suddenly some turnovers on the Calgary side, that equals some comeback. But they really stuck with it. I really like what Drew Tate's doing with this offense. He's not flashy. He's not getting the numbers. The one number that he's getting is wins. And he's got 3 of them right now. They head into the playoffs as the hottest team in the league. If you don't count that the BC Lions have won 11 of their last 13 games.
There you go. Because that's who I'd rather be putting my money on right now, the BC Lions.
Right.
But let's look at the Stampeders thing, because sure, he's got some swagger and he seems unflappable. But, you know, in 3 games, he has 5 interceptions. And like before, this team let somebody off the hook and mounted somewhat of a comeback. I'm not totally convinced that this team can advance in the playoffs.
I'm convinced that they have a good chance. You mentioned the 5 interceptions. The thing about Drew is he does not get rattled by interceptions or punches to the face or people in his face. He just doesn't get rattled by any of that stuff. And I asked him about it after the game, and I just says, so how does it go? You just, next play, forget about the last play, next play. And he doesn't get off his mental acuity. He doesn't get rattled. And that's the thing that sometimes interceptions or turnovers can really haunt a team if they pile up and they start making really boneheaded mistakes afterwards. Drew doesn't let that happen. He has the poise. He's got a veteran poise that you don't see in guys that are making their 3rd start. Just come in, make the play. If it doesn't work out, on to the next play. Don't even worry about it. And right now, he's bringing that whole demeanor to the entire team because the team feeds off their quarterback that way. And he's got them feeling like relaxed, easygoing, ready to go out there and make something happen.
Now they go to Edmonton. I know back in the day when they had the grass, it was a different story altogether going up there, because not only did Edmonton play mind games with you, you had to deal with that slippery grass and what kind of cleats, and it changed from day to day, hour to hour sometimes up there, really.
Absolutely.
You know, so the home field really gave you an advantage. So how does this team match up? First of all, with what Edmonton can do defensively with that pass rush that they have, can the Stampeders offensive line handle that pass rush?
Yes, I think they can. Now, they have to recognize when they're bringing guys from the outside, and they have to do that well. The thing, they better hope Edwin Harrison is recovered and fine, because you don't want to go in there with an inexperienced left tackle. We saw what happened with Montreal losing their left tackle and how much it affected Anthony Calvillo. The thing is that Edmonton likes to really disguise all their guys that are coming. They bring a 3-man front, and then they bring linebackers on the outside. You don't know which guys are going to come, so you have to recognize that pretty well. The Stamps do have good blocking running backs, so I think that, in effect, has a good chance to equalize out. They have to watch out for the ball hawks in the secondary. Obviously, Weldon Brown and Chris Thompson, Rod Williams?
Yep.
Yeah, they're guys who can really pick the ball off and make big plays. So you have to watch out for that. But I really like the Stamps offense in this game. I really like the way that they should be able to run the ball and get John Cornish out into the side areas, get him swung out and let him do some damage.
Yep. As far as an identity with the Eskimos, I don't know really what it is. I mean, mess him when he's hot, but he's been used very little against the Stampeders.
Right.
And Ricky Ray, you know, he is what he is. But really, I mean, from week to week, I'm kind of looking at this team and saying, okay, what are you guys? Yeah. And so I really think, you know, and again, I'm looking at the Stamps defense, and I'm kind of thinking the same thing when I look at their front 7. I like elements of the secondary, but how does that match up, the offense of Edmonton against Stampeders defense?
Well, and if you look at the games they played against each other this year, the first game, it was 2 big plays by Fred Stamps, which essentially decided it, 2 touchdowns. In the second game, it was the Stamps turning the ball over in their own zone and giving them short fields to put up touchdowns. And then in the third game, the Stamps running game took over, and that was the difference.
Yep.
So what they have to do is they have to focus in and make sure that Fred Stamps does not beat them with big plays. And he has not been great in the last 2 games. Obviously, Adarius Bowman stepped up in the last week and gave them a big boost in their offense. They have different weapons that they can use, but Fred Stamps is the guy that the Stamps are going to have to focus in on. And Brandon Smith, he had great coverage on that one-handed grab that Fred Stamps made, but great coverage just makes for great receptions. So
And great highlights.
Yeah, and he's going to have to get his hand on the ball and knock it away because Fred Stamps can make that huge play against them.
So who are you predicting?
I'm liking the Stamps.
Yep.
They're 6-3 on the road this year, best team in the league going on the road, and I think they're going to get it done in week 1.
Yeah, I think the Stamps are going to win this game too. They do, like I said. I mean, there's a swagger that Tate has with them that they're feeding off of right now. I think they can go up. In Edmonton, Jesus, you don't know what you're getting from week to week. And last week against Saskatchewan, they let Saskatchewan off the hook, but even that bad football team had a chance to beat them.
Yeah, and you mentioned the home field advantage. It really used to be a big thing when teams would had to go to Edmonton, and they wouldn't let them see the grass until they walked out for warm-ups.
Yep.
And either they'd be watering it in the middle of the winter, or then they'd be cutting it so short that you couldn't get any footing on it.
Yep.
It was just that is gone. They've got artificial turf that everybody has,
Yep.
and it's just like any other park in the league right now.
Can utility be a poster? Can utility keep you up at night, dreaming? Can utility put thoughts in your head? Depends on what you mean by utility. Introducing the new Porsche Cayenne and Cayenne S Hybrid. Lighter, more agile, more efficient. More Porsche than ever.